Streaming. Okay. We should be good to go now. Okay, if you're watching this posted video, I just had to stop my live stream 3 minutes in, so that's why I look a little stressed. So if you're watching this video, again, this is a posted live stream, like I always say. If you want to be a part of the live streams, make sure to turn on your notifications or subscribe, leave a comment so you guys don't miss the live stream. And yes, we are back. For those of you joining the live stream, make sure to please like the live stream so the other T-SPLY subscribers or anybody can see what's going on. I see you guys. Tinker, James, Kim Katie, Irish. Thank you guys again for being here. So if you can do me a massive favor, make sure to please like the stream so we can get back at it. All right, so just to recap real fast, we have this Benghazi suspect. He's been arrested over in Libya. That was just announced by Kash Patel, and we have a press conference. So we're going to go through that. We're going to go through some things happening in Minnesota, people being arrested. You guys have probably seen, actually in yesterday's show, we were covering this live, but obviously this man is going rather viral considering he's wearing an I'm Antifa hoodie. So many people have been paying attention to this. Thank you, Born A Hawk, for the generous $2 donation. I appreciate it. We're going to go through some responses as far as politicians talking about illegal immigration, politicians supporting the SAVE Act, not supporting the SAVE Act. We have some new arguments there. Thank you for becoming a member, Josie Cooper. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your generosity. And thank you guys again for being here. If you can do me a massive favor again, please like the stream so the other people can see what's going on as we dropped the stream a couple minutes ago. What else do we have? We have Kamala Harris is back, like I mentioned before. Very big news that Kamala Harris is back. A lot of backlash, I might add, by the way. I think there's a lot of skepticism as far as why Kamala Harris is back. Thank you, Born a Hawkeye, for becoming a member. In case you guys don't remember, this is our former vice president. Just want to throw that out there because, you know, Kamala Harris hasn't been around in a while, but she is back. So we'll get into that. We have some drama with other politicians, mayors. The mayor of Portland was followed or approached in a bar and questioned why he isn't doing enough for the pushback against ICE. We're going to watch that video. Hey, we have another member. Thank you for becoming a member. I am Ted. Thank you so much for your generosity, everybody. I really appreciate it. Somebody said we had a vice president? Yes, we did. All right, so let's start with this, the press conference. Here we go. Big news here. And yeah, Benghazi back in the news. This used to be the top news story back in the day, right? I mean, everything was Benghazi for many different reasons.
To announce that the FBI has arrested one of the key participants behind the Benghazi attack. Zubair al-Bakosh landed at Andrews Air Force Base at 3 a.m. this morning. He is in our custody. He was greeted by Director Patel and U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro. Hillary Clinton famously once said about Benghazi, "What difference at this point does it make?" Well, wow. It makes a difference to Donald Trump. It makes a difference to those families. And 14 years later, it makes a difference to law enforcement who made the difference in this case.
And it should be noted that the Clintons will be speaking publicly to testify in front of Congress. I'll be doing another video on that at some point, but just so you guys are aware, we will be hearing and seeing from the Clintons, not just Hillary, but also Bill, pretty soon. Now, I don't know if this will get brought up, but I'm just letting you guys know we will be looking out for that.
Thank you, President Trump, for supporting all of our agencies around the country and around the world. Al-Bakosh will now face American justice on American soil. We will prosecute this alleged terrorist to the fullest extent of the law. He'll face charges related to murder, terrorism, arson, among others. Let this case serve as a reminder. If you commit a crime against the American people anywhere in this world, President Trump's Justice Department will find you. It might not happen overnight, but it will happen. You can run, but you cannot hide.
Okay, so that is Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi apparently is out of Minnesota as of right now. She was there for 4 days setting up shop with other agents on the ground and trying to figure out what they're going to do as far as conducting more arrests and taking care of warrants in Minnesota.
14 years ago, Americans watched in horror as a scene unfolded in a foreign land in one of the most dangerous places in the world for Americans.
I am very curious how this is going to get reported throughout the media. I'm also curious, like, by a show of hands, how many of you care about this in the sense of you think this is a really big deal? Because the way that the media, tends to work is they got to try to slot things as far as what people might care about the most. To me, this seems to be like a very big deal, but I am curious as far as like the everyday viewer, would you see this as massive?
Benghazi, Libya. An American ambassador, elite military personnel, and a State Department employee were all violently murdered. For 13 hours, the American cavalry never came. For 13 hours, they waited for help that never came. Today, President Trump is making sure that American justice is coming for those individuals responsible for the deaths of those 4 Americans. Bakush is now on U.S. soil because of the President, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and Kash Patel. The FBI, the Department of Justice, never forgot. There are prosecutors in this room right now who have been in the office for 13 years and have consistently handled this matter in this case. This department will never forget the seemingly forgotten in that outpost in Benghazi.
Yeah.
Bakush was first charged by complaint in 2015, which was sealed for 11 years. An 8-count indictment, has been unsealed, and it charges Bakush with the murder of Ambassador Chris Stevens, the murder of State Department employee Sean Smith, the attempted murder of State Department Special Agent Scott Wickland, and conspiracy to provide materials for terrorists and support that resulted in the death of 4 Americans, as well as arson at the special mission. I don't have to go through all of the facts, but every one of us remembers this case. I reported on it when I worked at Fox. I had relationships, as Kash Patel just said, with the families. And last night, as soon as they were in custody, because of Pam and because of Kash, we had a limited unsealing order from Judge Cooper that allowed me to speak to the family members to let them know that justice was coming for Bakush. I spoke with Sean Smith's mother, who I've known for years and have communicated with for years. I spoke with Tyrone Woods' widow, Dr. Dorothy Woods. I spoke with Ambassador Chris Stevens' family.
Yeah, I'm very curious, like, was there a lack of looking into this under certain administrations? Was there a heightened alert into looking into this? I have no idea. This is all we know so far, what they're telling us. So that is something I'm very curious about if that's going to get asked. Like at one point were agencies told just sort of, don't forget about it, but if you find anything out, just let us know? Or was there a full-blown focus? I have no idea.
As well as Glenn Doherty's brother, Greg, as well as his widow. These were people who never expected that justice would be coming. They never knew about the determination in this room and behind me and the incredible work of the FBI along this case for years and years, because this was something that mattered.
Okay. Benghazi. Yeah, when I saw this, I was like, man. And when I was doing research for this video, in fact, I found like an old FBI Most Wanted page. Sort of 10/27/14, the United States Federal Bureau of Investigations appreciates that the Libyan people and the government of Libya have condemned the September 11, 2012 attacks on U.S. Special Mission personnel and facilities in Benghazi. The FBI is now asking Libyans and people around the world for additional information related to the attacks. So, you know, every once in a while you find these like pages on the internet that just sort of get lost in time, but it's a little this is out there. This is one of those original posts asking for help. FBI is asking Libyans and people around the world for additional information related to the attacks, which resulted in the deaths of 4 Americans, including the U.S. ambassador to Libya. We are seeking information about individuals who were on the ground. So yeah, I was able to find this. Very old, well, old in today's day and age of technology. And here's Kash Patel. Here's what he had to say. And then this is the last we have on this, and I'm sure we will get more updates as they come through.
Interagency who's willing to get after it. I'm extremely thankful to the CIA and Director Ratcliffe and our other law enforcement partners for making sure that the world knows that if you kill an American citizen in an act of terrorism, we will hunt you down. We will bring you to justice, and you will face justice here in America, not in another court and not in any other proceeding around the world, but here. You killed our own, so we are going to take it to the streets to make sure you are held accountable. Once again, I'd really like to thank the entirety of the FBI, headquarters divisions. There are so many moving pieces to actually execute a foreign transfer of custody. And now we're talking about the 7th, the 3rd in just a couple of weeks. And I don't know if that has ever happened before in U.S. history. It's happening because President Trump backs the blue. President Trump has given law enforcement the resources we need to take the fight across the world. And the Attorney General has been relentless in her mission to make sure that these victims are remembered and that we bring them some semblance of peace.
Okay, so yeah, let me know how you guys think Kash Patel is doing. And yeah, let me know overall what you think about this. Again, when I asked the question, do you guys think this is a big deal? The majority of you said, of course, it's a big deal. Now, my observation I will be looking out for is how many outlets report this and how they report it. And if they include, during certain presidencies, was there a heightened alert as far as looking into the evidence, or was it like put on the back burner? So yeah, I'll be looking out for that. Now, like I mentioned before, we actually covered this live yesterday when it happened. We didn't have too much information, but we knew it happened live during yesterday's show. So again, make sure to please subscribe, like, turn on your notifications, because every once in a while during these shows, we get some breaking news like this. Okay, so this was actually posted by Homeland. Today, HSI and DOJ arrested Kyle Wagner, a self-identified Antifa domestic terrorist in Minneapolis who conspired to threaten, leak, and take out our brave ICE officers. He is charged with numerous federal crimes, including impeding, retaliating against a federal officer, threatening to injure a family, interstate domestic violence, conspiracy, a lot. There's a lot going on here. The lawlessness is over, Minnesota. And if you threaten or lay a hand on law enforcement, you will face justice. Now, again, of course, these are all allegations. You are innocent until proven guilty, but this is out there. And we actually have a local news agency reporting on this. Let me play this for you guys real quick after this. Let's see what they have to say.
Video of an intense federal arrest at a Minneapolis apartment building is getting a lot of attention online. This is video obtained by KARE 11. We now know the agents had a warrant.
And just so you guys are aware, when this arrest was happening, there were like protesters there. You can hear the whistle in the background.
Know the agents had a warrant to make a high-profile arrest. The Department of Justice says the man they arrested was a self-identified Antifa member, calling for law enforcement to be murdered. But his arrest is also sparking debate around the First Amendment and free speech. Raya Katane joins us now, breaking down the case and what legal...
Now, I don't know if those people realized what was going on there, but just a simple observation. It goes to show that whether you are an illegal immigrant or not, that doesn't negate the fact that you might have a protester or people with whistles in the area.
Legal scholars are saying tonight. Raya?
Yeah, Lauren, this case really brings into question what is and isn't protected as free speech, especially online. I talked to 3 different law professors, and what's abundantly clear is that each case is different, but the context and intent are extremely important.
An early morning raid in Minneapolis led to the arrest of Kyle Wagner, accused by the Department of Justice of allegedly calling for the murder and assault of ICE agents. The DOJ says the 37-year-old posted statements on social media, including "ICE, we're coming for you," and "get your guns and stop these people."
You really have to show that.
And I've been covering these types of things for a very long time now. This happened over in Chicago, where there were some individuals who made almost these verbatim exact statements, were posting pictures, and almost the exact same time frame. Within 3 weeks of videos and pictures surfacing, they were arrested as well. So I always like to mention sometimes these things take longer than some people would want, because when these videos and pictures were surfacing, a lot of people were like, dude, Kash Patel, what are you doing? How are you not seeing this? Or Pam Bondi. But it does take time.
It's a serious threat.
David Schultz is a professor of political science and legal studies. He says much of what is said online is protected by the First Amendment, but what's not considered free speech is what the U.S. Supreme Court calls true threats.
Yeah.
It's got to be intentional, and it has to be serious threat, and it has to identify a particular person or group of people. And the Supreme Court and the courts are going to err on the side of free speech. A lot of context matters. For example, speech that's online, it's even harder to ascertain or consider that to be a true threat.
According to law professor Raleigh Levine, it's especially hard to limit free speech online because you must show that a statement is likely to directly and immediately lead to real-world violence.
Proving that that a statement that's kind of floating out there in the ether is likely to get people to act imminently and is intended to get people to act imminently is a lot harder to establish.
And professor of law and public policy Thomas.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if they're even specifically commenting on this case. It almost seems like they were just asked the general question, because I'm not. It kind of comes off as if they're defending. I don't know if they're defending him or the actual law itself. I have no idea, but I can see what some of your comments are saying here. I don't know what the initial question was as far as these particular interviews.
Says a true threat online is more than just a statement that sounds threatening.
There has to be what the court calls recklessness, a subjective element that in your head, you know that this could be taken as threatening.
Okay, so I don't even feel comfortable playing his clips to get, like, just to be honest with you guys. If you guys want to go watch the clips and the videos, you can go do that. And now that you know the law, according to these experts, you guys can make your own judgment. But I'm like letting you know right now, I don't even feel comfortable playing those clips on this show. So I'm just letting you guys know. Yeah, and Pam Bondi did post this. If you come for law enforcement, the Trump administration will come for you. Thank you for your understanding. And we actually have the raw footage from the outside here. This was posted by Mr. Nick Sorter. Again, I am not sure if they knew this was his residence, but
You can't get into the fucking door! Because they weren't supposed to be in there! You fucking idiot! These people broke in! Broke into people's personal property! Are you gonna fix this? Bullshit! This is what you did! Do you feel safe? Do you feel safe? Yeah, I'm sure, because you have a fucking gun. Yeah. Fucking guy with a big fucking. So you didn't read the policy at the front door, right? Oh, and now you're. Yeah. So now anybody can get in. I'm glad you show that. Yeah. So now they just basically left it open. So.
Yeah, so again, my big takeaway from this is you don't have to be an illegal immigrant for there to be pushback or protest. What we're seeing right here is quite the opposite, assuming he is a legal citizen, which I'm pretty sure he is. So just want to throw that out there. There was contention in front of the building as far as the agents smashing the windows and breaching, getting into the building with a warrant, by the way. I'm just going to throw this in here as well. We don't know why the U.S. did this, but the U.S. made a big announcement. Let me know if you guys heard about this. Breaking, U.S. Embassy tells citizens to leave Iran now. And that's it. We were just told leave now. Leave Iran now. Have a plan for departing. Flight cancellations and disruptions are possible. If you cannot leave, find a secure location. Avoid demonstrations. Monitor local media for breaking news. Keep your phone charged and maintain communication with your family. So that was put out yesterday. Yeah, and we were not told if the U.S. is going to do anything, if they know something we don't know, but leave Iran now. Okay, now let's get to Minneapolis itself. I'm going to assume that you guys remember or heard about these barricades or blockades that were seen in front of stop signs or in the middle of intersections. Tom Homan was furious, and he wanted Mayor Frey to take care of the problem. The police chief of Minneapolis take care of the problem. Well, now it's being reported that there might be more blockades popping up around Minneapolis. A lot more, not just some. And so I'm curious what this is all about.
It is a crime to perpetrate and to tell people that you are law enforcement de facto. But here it is on full display. Some more of those checkpoints that the far left anti-ICE agitators continue setting up. They are again illegal. That is Minneapolis. They are targeting federal agents and impeding their operations. According to a new report, anti-ICE groups are planning to build as many as 1,000 of these checkpoints on busy streets and in residential areas. Can you imagine living there? And what is the information they're collecting? Well, they want the license plate. That gives you all sorts of information.
Yeah, so if you guys want to read that, rather interesting. It is your right to make mistakes. You can fight ICE without any risk. Everything adds up. You have no excuses anymore. Just do it. So, again, over this week, Tom Homan addressed this. We didn't hear anything from the mayor. We didn't hear anything from the chief of police. What we're being told is that Tom Homan had a very stern conversation with them, and it got taken care of, the problem as far as having these checkpoints. But again, there are indications that thousands more might be raised up. Again, strong might.
This anti-ICE social media account shows a chilling poster in Minneapolis asking workers across many fields to hurt agents in multiple ways, like giving them food poisoning and secretly damaging their vehicles. It assures people you will get away with it, so they know it's a crime. So who's on tap to keep these people out of jail should they ever be arrested for what they're doing? Big question there. Senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy with more on this. Peter.
Harris, 1,000 activist or agitator-built roadblocks makes it sound like it could soon be pretty annoying to try to drive a car or a bus or a bike through the streets of Minneapolis. But the man in charge, Tom Homan, is not batting an eyelash, and he is revealing that ICE is just going to drive right through them.
Okay, so that's what Tom Homan had to say. We will see what happens there. Again, I am paying attention to that story. But again, as we know right now, the situation has mellowed out a little bit as far as those checkpoints as of right now. Governor Tim Walz has been kind of quiet the last few days, but I managed to find this post from him. Operation Metro Surge is hurting small business and doing long-term damage to Minnesota's economy. It's time for this campaign of retribution to end. This right here is one of the biggest talking points by far right now from the governor and from the mayor of Minneapolis. The economy is being affected so much from this federal surge that, we're losing business. The state is suffering. The cities are suffering. This seems to be the main line of argumentation from the governor. And you guys can let me know how you feel about that. I'm just trying to show you. That's what the governor had to say. Now, I found this report. I thought it was rather interesting. Fox had a former Special Forces...
Are you looking to start your own...
Green Beret on to talk about how he felt about what's happening on the ground. And by the way, this is not going to be a totally one-sided show like I always say. We're going to get to the other talking points as well. Don't worry. Now, here's what he had to say about how he identifies this situation on the ground.
In Minnesota, they were sent there for a reason. And so as it continues up, the hierarchical chain that I see and suspect matches what I would consider to be an insurgent network.
He's calling it an insurgent network, which is why I thought this was interesting to show you guys.
Warrant Officer 4 from the U.S. Army Special Forces. I was in the military for 34 years. I've been retired since 2021. I spent most of my time in the military in the combat arms field, working as either a Cav scout in my earlier years, and then transitioning to Special Forces later on.
I just have to say this. So I was a former combat engineer. One of the worst assignments I ever had, in a good way, was with the Cavalry Scouts. You know, they're the guys who sort of spy on the enemy. They're scouts. I sat in a foxhole for 1 week straight, and I was like, I never want to do this ever again. So shout out to the Cav Scouts. When I say it was the worst, it was a very humbling experience. But yeah, I sat there for a week, and I was like, are we going to do anything? And shout out to the Cav Scouts.
Which is where I spent the bulk of my time, my duration of the time inside the Army. As I'm looking at what is going on out there in the world of resistance, say in Minnesota, Seattle, Portland, and across the United States, one of the things that kind of sparked my interest was the use of the salute format and the sophistication of the collection assets that are out there and how they record it, the databases that they're using to track it, and it's very, very significant. As a person who's run insurgencies, I'm impressed.
Okay, so when a Green Beret is saying he's impressed based off of the data gathering, the organizational skills of it, how they're able to transmit the information, apply the information to actual action. Yeah, the fact that a Green Beret is saying that, I think goes to show that maybe for some people who see this as a complete joke and don't take it serious, you might want to take another look at how a lot of these operations are being performed on the ground. I mean, it's one thing to set up a checkpoint and be like, are you ICE? Are you ICE? But then it's another thing to collect the data, organize it, categorize it. Yeah, interesting stuff here. And that's getting a lot more public pressure as far as asking Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, like, are you guys looking into this? And they seem to be looking into it. That is what they're indicating. We'll talk about that. Yeah, okay, so we also got this from Homeland. Speaking of databases, Homeland just announced they added 5,000 criminal illegals. Aliens are available to be seen on their website. If you guys are unaware, Homeland Security has this database where you can quite literally pick a country, and they will show you who came to the United States from that country and why they got arrested. So, looks like they added 5,000 more people. All right, let us move on. That is really all I have about Minnesota, by the way. Minnesota has sort of gotten a little more quiet. Oh, there were some protests last night as well. Maybe I'll show you guys some clips. I want to get to this, though. You guys seem to like statistics and polling, and the Trump administration has been getting a lot of wins this week as far as polling. Really in all categories, it seems like. The categories that matter to them. Here is another recent poll.
About the idea, essentially, not just that Republicans like or love Donald Trump, but believe he has been a good influence on the party. And here it is. Just look at this. Say Trump's had a good effect on the GOP among Republicans. When he left after term number 1, it was 71%. Just before he was running for that second term, right, it was 62%. Now it's again 71% of Republicans who say that Donald Trump has had a good effect on the Republican Party. I know that there are a lot of people out there, especially on the left, who say, oh my God, we just want to grasp that one little thing that, there's weakness in Donald Trump's grip on the GOP, weakness in MAGA's grip on the GOP. It just simply put isn't there even after this whole stuff that's been going on in Minnesota, which obviously hasn't necessarily been popular with the general electorate, but among Republicans, they liked Donald Trump, they like MAGA, they like J.D. Vance, and they believe that Donald Trump's had a good effect on the GOP as much as it has ever been.
And you guys know this is not like the, I like to hype up one side or the other. We generally try to make it as fair as possible so you really have an idea of what's going on here. But this week, like I keep saying, there's just no other way to identify. I mean, I've never seen this much polling from CNN in the favor of the president, Homeland Security operations, and like literally specifically the president. And all of the new stats that came out where even Democrats support this idea of deportations. They see illegal immigration as a crime. However, Democrats overall do not support ICE, which is a little interesting there. So, I mean, it just is what it is. I don't know how else to say it. The president took a really big win this week, his administration. Now, I found this clip interesting. I thought you guys might as well. Here is Scott Jennings sort of commenting on, like, negative connotations against President Trump.
My point. Here's my argument. You could not possibly trust, if you were Donald Trump, knowing everything you've been through, you could not possibly trust to posterity somebody doing you right, knowing full well they're going to do you dirty. He's got to do it to them now.
I can't believe you're actually defending this one. I can't believe this is real. I honestly, I read. It is. I thought, I'm with you. I thought this was a joke.
What's wrong with it?
What's wrong with him demanding certain things in exchange for naming it after him? You don't think that that's kind of bonkers?
I'm just telling you, if left to history and posterity, someone will always do this man dirty. He's got to take care of himself.
Is that not a reflection of his presidency? If anything, his reputation and legacy
if left to
being
people
left
like Dan, he would never get anything.
to the people who come after, generations like mine, if he leaves a poor reflection, if he leaves a poor legacy, that's his own doing.
Yes.
You don't That's get the thing. But you would never give a fair, like if you were in Congress, you ran for Congress.
Don't get a participation. No, go to a state he won and name something there.
For being president of the United States.
He's a two-term president.
Hold on a second.
He's going to get something.
Okay, so you guys gonna let me know how you feel about that. I think Scott giving the point of, no matter what he does, it doesn't seem like he gets a fair shot. You guys can let me know if you think that's true or not true. All right, now I know you guys have been waiting for this part of the show. I mean, we could have done a whole live stream on this. So Kamala Harris is back. Now, I know to some of you this probably doesn't seem like a big deal, but let me tell you something. This is a pretty big deal considering the reason why she's coming back. Welcome to headquarters, the new Gen Z-led progressive content hub. So it looks like this is either, I don't know exactly what that means, but what we do know is that when Kamala Harris was running for the presidency against Donald Trump, Gen Z, there was a lot of focus on the Gen Z, the TikTok wars, short-form content battles. I'm sure a lot of you recall, if you're on TikTok, you were seeing a lot of political talking points back and forth. Like white men for Harris or and so on. And so then all of a sudden, Kamala Harris just sort of disappeared. We didn't hear from her after that. But she is back. She is back. Now, I'm going to do something live for you guys, and I'm really excited we get to do this together. I hope it works. Okay, so Kamala Harris was getting a lot of flack for this. Headquarters 6'7". So if you guys are unaware, 6'7" is like a meme or a joke for the Gen Z, which I don't understand. Some of you might not understand it, but I'm going to show you guys this real quick so it makes sense. CNN was seeing this as like totally embarrassing. And you'll see why this all makes sense. Give me a second to set this up for you. So check this out.
By the way, the handle they're using, you can see there, we're zooming in on it, at headquarters_67. 67, as the kids used to say. Well, used to say a lot of things. And I think they also used to say, that's probably cringe.
Okay, so CNN is calling this cringe. Now, it's being reported that Kamala Harris already changed the name of the handle from 6'7" to 6'8". I'm going to refresh this page and see if it works. Let's see. 6'8", right there. All right, we did that live together. So apparently it is true that they changed the name from 6'7" to 6'8". Yeah, right here, 6'8". So apparently those reports are true because we just verified that in real time. Now I know it says 6'7" here, but it is 6'8". I don't know why they changed it to 6'8". Maybe the pushback, but there we go. I wanted to do that live for you guys. Here is her video.
Madam Vice President, what's going on with Kamala HQ?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. I have good news.
Just so you, I mean, right off the bat, as somebody who's been to film school, and I know I'm not the best with audio, I cannot believe the audio is so not great on their end. If you're going to have a content hub, the audio has to be perfect.
Madam Vice President,
this is their audio.
Kamala HQ.
Well, I'm so glad you asked. I have good news. So Kamala HQ is turning into headquarters, and it's where you can go online to get basically the latest of what's going on, and also to meet and revisit with some of our great courageous leaders, be they elected leaders, community leaders, civic leaders, faith leaders, young leaders. I'm really excited about it. So stay engaged, and I'll see you out there.
Okay, so that's that. Thank you for the generous $5 donations. Kamala's PR team didn't learn anything from Brat Summer. They're still doing the "hello, fellow kids" meme. Yeah. Look, guys, this is the news, all right? I don't know what you want me to do. We went from Benghazi to Kamala Harris doing 6-7 memes, but this is the point I was trying to make. As far as categorically speaking, is the media going to see this more important than Benghazi or not? This is out there. This is happening, and you're going to be seeing a lot more of Kamala Harris and this as the news. And she's calling this a news source. CNN calling it cringe. That's very noteworthy.
We'll see.
Also noteworthy, like this is the type of content you can find at headquarters 6.8. As you guys can see, this is the updated version. It was 6.7. But it looks like we got to see that in real time. Trump confused popular weight loss drugs known as GLP-1. So this is what they posted. And then you'll notice what Alex commented on this post. So this is what they posted.
You will see dramatic reductions in the cost of popular weight loss drugs known as GLP-1s. GLP-1s. Novo Nordisk will be slashing the price, as an example, of Ozempic from more than $1,000 to $199. And the price of Wegovy from more than $1,300 to $199.
Okay, so that's what they posted on their HQ site as far as, again, Trump confused. But then somebody pointed out, Alex, Kamala's team returned to the political scene today to post a clip of President Trump highlighting how he is lowering the cost of popular weight loss drugs. And, like, if we didn't have this caption here and you just watch that video, I mean, that's exactly what I think would be shown here. So, now, this is not an indication that Kamala Harris is rerunning for the presidency. I don't think we should go that far yet, but it is safe to say Kamala Harris is back and the HQ is back. So, obviously, some people have some things to say about it.
Kamala's online army is getting a reboot. The failed Veep is reviving her dormant Kamala HQ troll account on X, which is owned by Elon Musk.
Madam Vice President, what's going on with Kamala HQ?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. I have good news. So Kamala HQ is turning into headquarters, and it's where you can go online to get basically the latest of what's going on, and also to meet and revisit with some of our great courageous leaders, be they elected leaders, community leaders, civic leaders, faith leaders, young leaders. I'm really excited about it. So stay engaged, and I'll see you out there.
Now, again, I don't know if she's like the head of it. I don't know if she's the face of it. I don't know if this is just an endorsement. Again, we don't know anything. We just know that this video is made, and it should be noted at the top. It says Headquarters 6.7. Again, that's been rebranded to the old 6.8.
Yep, we'll be there. The new account has the handle Headquarters 67, branded as a Gen Z-led progressive content hub. And it looks like the bratty Kamala staffers have been busy crap posting all day. Emily, you seem like the person I should ask about this. Seems pretty thirsty, the Headquarters 67, a desperate ploy to remain relevant.
Totally. So I saw this immediately as her response to Newsom, who has been naturally prolific, albeit totally annoying, in being everywhere. And she's like, we have to get out there too.
Yeah, whether or not you like Gavin Newsom, I will give credit where credit is due. He is the best politician. I don't agree with his politics. To be totally transparent, we don't have to agree, but I can acknowledge he is very good out of all the politicians as far as responding and actually resonating with the crowd who might find him favorable. Again, do not take this as me endorsing or agreeing with Mr. Newsom, but I have to acknowledge he is the best out of everybody. I mean, he makes the Kamala page, in my opinion, not look like a professional hub at all. And I'm just being honest here. I think the Gavin Newsom team has made mistakes. They respond way too quick, and then they won an appeals case that the National Guard doesn't have to go to California, and they were rubbing it in President Trump's face, and then 20 minutes, or not 20 minutes, a few hours later, they lost the reappeal. So they do stuff like that, but again, they respond quick on the Gavin Newsom page. But if you guys are interested to see the comparison, you can go to the Gavin Newsom's team, compare it to the Kamala Harris team, and I somewhat agree with this point that this might be a response to Gavin Newsom's media hub he's got going on there.
But it also reminds me of when rich people's or successful people's spouses launch businesses?
Yes.
And they have all the startup capital.
Yeah.
They don't.
Okay. And again, please do not take that as an endorsement. I know you guys understand what I was trying to say, that out of everybody I can think of, I think he has the best media team as far as that political talking point.
I mean, you were great, and I don't understand what the Kamala HQ thing means. I do know that voters will understand if you explain how you're going to reduce the price of things that they need the most.
Maybe HQ stands for Jose Cuervo.
That would be bad. I mean, that would be a good alter ego.
Yeah.
Also, that she put 67 in, as if the parents who are actually of legal age to vote aren't so sick of that.
Yeah.
Is she trying to get the votes of an 8-year-old? I mean, that's preposterous. I feel that every time you see her, she's living on November 4th. Every day she wakes up and it's November 4th because she learned nothing from losing the election.
Yeah, no, it's true.
She just does the same thing over and over again. I was going to use the Shark Tank example.
Yeah, I will say, again, I am not endorsing Kamala or nothing like that. I'm just saying, if you're going to come back, I think there's an expectation of you don't come back as the same person that did not win you the election, right? But it looks like Kamala just came back as Kamala, who did not win the election. So I know there's a lot of critiquing going back and forth, but as far as a entertainment standpoint or political standpoint, this almost just seems like a reboot of what we saw in 2024, and then all of a sudden, okay, we're back. And yeah, I personally don't understand what the point of this is, as far as I get this is for Gen Z, but it's just odd. That's the only way I can report this. It's just a little out there. Which is why I think it's newsworthy, by the way.
Example that she shows up with no product, and they're I think we're gonna pass.
Yeah, I'm out. I don't know much about morons, so I'm out. Jesse, America is the land of second chances. You're proof of that.
Am I?
Yes.
Already?
Yes.
I feel like I'm going to screw up soon. Then I'll need it.
But I mean,
is there a question?
Hasn't she worn out her welcome?
Yeah.
Shouldn't she?
She doesn't see it.
She should be hosting.
Yeah. Again, I don't know how that's going to work out. I don't know if this is a political, starting up the old political campaign, getting the engine running, getting that algorithm running to see how much hype they can get for Kamala Harris. But yeah, like I said before, if we're gonna make a comparison, I think Gavin Newsom has really figured it out as far as gaining hype and sort of doing what Kamala Harris is trying to do now. We already talked about Minnesota. If you guys care, there was a protest last night in Minneapolis, and the police were helping out, so that is noteworthy. This is from Frontlines TPUSA. Minneapolis police have declared tonight's anti-ICE protest as an unlawful assembly and have ordered everyone to leave immediately. I would say this is a promising sign that there is some sort of cooperation, because Tom Homan said the more cooperation we get, the less federal agents we'll have.
I'm Officer Betts with the University of Minnesota Police Department. The police department has declared this an unlawful assembly under state laws of the state of Minnesota. Minnesota State Statute 609-715 prohibits remaining present at unlawful assembly. The You are hereby ordered to immediately disperse, which means leave this area. Please do so by walking eastbound on Washington Avenue Southeast.
All right, so just wanted to show you guys that that was last night. Again, that is going to be from Frontlines TPUSA. If you guys want to go give them a follow, they are on the ground in Minneapolis. And that is the very first thing. If you're going to look at clips like that and you see clips like that, I highly advise you immediately look for the police officers, because that is one of the number one negotiations or talking points that the Trump administration keeps asking for. Please help us on the ground for security. We want cooperation. We want to work together. And it looks like in this case, there is some sort of cooperation. All right. Now, as far as cooperation, I don't think we're going to be getting that from Senate Republicans. And the list of demands from Democrats that was posted yesterday, if you guys are unaware, just quick recap. These are the list of demands as far as wanting reform for ICE, Homeland Security, some things such as like no mask, body cameras for accountability, not tracking, no paramilitary police, protect sensitive locations, require ID, things like that. So, we actually don't have that many responses from Republicans going on television and even talking about this, but this was posted by Senate Republicans. This is their official X page. There's really only one demand from Democrats here. Stop enforcing immigration law, not going to happen. So that's your response to that. That is the, that seems to be how Senate Republicans feel about this. Another post from the Senate Republicans. Democrats' newest proposal is a ridiculous Christmas list of demands for the press. They continue to play politics to their radical base at the expense of the safety of Americans. DHS, FEMA, Secret Service, and the Coast Guard run out of money in 9 days. Democrats don't seem to care one bit. Yeah, we're still waiting on that vote. And this has been a very one-sided show. Let's go to the other side of the political spectrum here. Let's start with this. This is Jamie Raskin, recent interview on CNN.
What's wrong with the SAVE Act? What's wrong with it is that it might violate the 19th Amendment, which gives women the right to vote, because you've got to show that all of your different IDs match. So if you're a woman who's gotten married and you've changed your name to your husband's name, but so now your current name is different from your name at birth. Now you've got to go ahead and document that.
It should be noted, this is the same exact argument or refutations as to why there needs to be a change with the SAVE Act from Senator Chuck Schumer yesterday. He said almost the same exact thing verbatim, which means this might be one of the main arguments you hear often, is that if you are married, a married woman, and all of a sudden you have to change your last name, it could create complications. So this is the second time we've heard this.
So now your current name is different from your name at birth. Now you've got to go ahead and document that. You need an affidavit explaining why. And why would we go to all of these the troubles in order to keep people from voting when none of the states that are actually running the elections are telling us that there's any problem?
Okay. So that is out there, and if you agree with that, I'm curious if you think that that is a valid talking point, but that is the second time we have heard that. Just want to note that.
Of course, the president's allies say that this is all about the SAVE Act, which would require voter ID, although a fairly stringent form of it. Voter ID is supported by the majority of Americans.
Yeah, and the majority of Americans is an understatement. We're talking about the mass majority of Americans want voter ID. Now, Chuck Schumer in yesterday's live show was actually asked about that, but he didn't talk about it. He did not reference that polling or statistics leaning in the favor of wanting voter ID. He went on to the argument we just heard, talking about, if you're married and there's some complications with changing your name. So I am curious if we're going to see a response here. Let's see.
But there are Democrats on the Hill. You voted against this. Why not support voter ID?
Well, look, First of all, this is not a problem that people are identifying or recognizing in the states.
Again, I advise you guys to please go take a look at the polls. And again, even if you hate the Trump admin and you don't want the SAVE Act, the question is about the polling that was just put out, overwhelmingly in the favor of voter ID. It just is what it is.
The states and local governments are perfectly capable of identifying when there are problems. This is obviously being cooked up by Donald Trump to justify his persistent and utterly bogus claim that he won the 2020 election when Biden beat him by more than 7 million votes. But what's wrong with the SAVE Act? What's wrong with it is that it might violate the 19th Amendment, which gives women the right to vote.
There you go. And then he goes into what we just heard. So, yeah, and yesterday's live show, again, we already went through the data. And I don't think we got a specific answer to that. Moving on, Illinois Democrat Representative Brad Schneider. Here's what he had to say on CNN recently.
And ICE has been given a quota to detain 3,000 people per day, but the border is quiet now. You could argue this is what Trump's immigration reform looks like. Is there anything in the way he's doing things that you would keep as part of an immigration reform package?
Well, I think all of us can agree that we don't want hardened criminals on our street, people who are a threat to our communities, a threat to our children, and there should be cooperation between federal, state, and local authorities to make sure we're keeping our communities safe.
And I do want to point out, again, he represents Illinois, and, even CNN has sort of called out this talking point, specifically with Minnesota and directly to the mayor of Minneapolis. In one sense, we don't like criminals, we want cooperation, but then when you look into the policies, the policy says we do not work together as far as deportation operations in the majority of the cases. In very, very specific small cases, there is cooperation, by the way. But even CNN has called this out as far as it sounds almost conflicting, maybe even confusing.
That's exactly the opposite of what we've been seeing from this administration.
Yeah. Just want to throw that out there. And it should be noted, even Democrats, this is not a Republican thing, even Democrats have notioned that illegal immigration is a crime according to the stats that came out this week. We'll keep moving forward. Yeah, let's go. Let's go here real quick.
Out of control ICE agents are terrorizing our communities. They shot Renee Good in the face 4 times. They're tearing people out of their homes, out of the windows of their cars, and illegally detaining people who have brown skin. This is fascism, pure and simple, and ICE must be held accountable.
Okay, so that is Representative Emily Randall. Those are her talking points on the floor here recently. Let me know what you guys think about that. Just trying to kind of run through all of these different talking points here because the first half of the show was pretty one-sided. But this is going pretty viral too. This is AOC recently. I think this would be a town hall.
Steve Bannon and some members of the administration have come out publicly kind of flirting with the idea of putting DHS outside of polling locations for the November elections. Personally, I believe that it has to be part of the DHS negotiation to prevent that and tie their hands in being able to deploy ICE agents who are killing US citizens from being anywhere near a poll site.
It should be noted that within those list of 10 demands in the no ICE at soft locations or soft spots, you guys would probably know like a church would be a soft spot location, or a hospital. Polling stations were added to that list. So this is what AOC is referencing. So polling stations are on the 10 list of demands as far as we don't want ICE agents at polling locations or voting locations, not polling, sorry.
US citizens from being anywhere near a poll site this November, point blank period.
Okay. And thank you for your generosity from William. Thank you so much for becoming a member. And God bless all of you guys, by the way. Again, if you're new here, we really try to advocate for peace. We try to hear both sides of the spectrum and see what we can figure out. So thank you guys again for everything. And I really appreciate all of you and helping this show be what it is every morning.
The real agenda here is to exploit immigrants in their desire to rig the election this November and hold on to power. That's what it's about for Republicans. We got to stand up for it. Stand up to it.
It sounds like you're not willing to negotiate on voter ID. Senator, I do want to ask you one. Go ahead.
Voter ID is a solution in search of a problem, because the truth is voter fraud in America is exceedingly rare, study after study.
Okay, so this should be noted as well. We just heard in one interview from a Democrat who said there's no evidence of any voter fraud, nothing like that on the state level. But now you just heard somebody say it's a very, very small issue. And we've been covering this on the show, actually, as far as what are the main talking points, or what is the pushback from a Democrat who doesn't support the SAVE Act. This, to me, actually seems to be one of the other main arguments, not so much that there is no fraud, but that there is so little fraud that it doesn't matter. It doesn't even make a difference in the voting. Now, the issue with this is, if I'm going to use the word issue, is that even Democrats, voters, would agree that it is a problem. Now, I am curious if one day they'll do a poll. I don't think they will. Maybe we'll do our own poll. If there was just one instance of fraud in one state, let's just say, would that be enough to pass this law? Or are you just going to say, who cares? It's just a small percentage. Would you guys still want a law passed if we knew there was just, let's just say there was only one instance of fraud at this one location? Do you still think an entire law should be passed on this level? Because, again, the point was made even on CNN. Democrats seem to actually want this solved, or think that there's a problem of fraud.
So you heard the House Republican Speaker Johnson say that President Trump should not have to testify in the House's Epstein investigation. Of course, they went through great lengths to pressure former President Bill Clinton to testify. Do you believe?
And I think Hillary just let me fact check this for you real quick, and then let me try to get back to that. As far as testifying, did she yeah, right here. Here's Hillary. Hillary posted this on her X account. For 6 months, we engaged Republicans on the Oversight Committee in good faith. We told them what we know under oath. They ignored all of it. They moved the goalpost and turned accountability into an exercise in distraction. So let's stop the games. If you want this fight, let's have it in public. You love to talk about transparency. There's nothing more transparent than a public hearing. Cameras on. Whoa. Yeah, so I think we'll be watching that. Thank you for the very generous $10 donation. California election officials were counting ballots for months after November, and we watched how seats flip during that counting. It's a bigger issue than Sean Padilla is letting on, says Necro. Thank you for the $10. I appreciate that. So yeah, like I mentioned before, like early on in the show, Hillary and I think Bill will be actually testifying publicly. So we will see what happens with that.
Democrats should force Trump to testify if you were to retake control of Congress this fall.
Well, I think they have absolutely set a new precedent where not only do you have to meet the exact specifications of a congressional subpoena, which is usually negotiated through what's called the accommodations process. Well, that's out the window. But then they can add additional conditions to the subpoena that were not even included, and somehow that's okay. And I can guarantee you, Jim, that we are going to use that exact precedent that Chairman Comer set in completely unreasonably turning the screws on a former president to force him to testify on videotape about things that may be completely unrelated to the investigation, rather than to negotiate in good faith as he's required to do.
All right. So we will be paying attention to that. Again, there's a lot of indications of what might happen if Democrats take control of the House or Senate. So just wanted to show you guys that was out there. Let us move forward. Representative Adelita Grijalva was on the floor the other day, House floor.
Made $1,569 more in 2025 due to inflation during Trump's first year back in office. And yet, after running on lowering prices, Trump now calls this affordability crisis a hoax. Just last week, he said plainly, "I don't want to drive housing prices down. I want to drive housing prices up." That tells you exactly who he's fighting for: Wall Street speculators and billionaires, not our families living on main streets and in our barrios. Let's be clear. This is an affordability crisis Republicans are perpetuating.
Okay. So hearing about the affordability a lot more recently. This is from, again, Representative Adelita, who's been a big proponent of wanting to abolish ICE, by the way. Here's Democrat Senator Jeff Merkley. And then we will be getting to the other aspects of the show. I just like to show you guys the back and forth. What are the relevant talking points and what people are saying?
We're at an extraordinary moment. I never thought we'd see secret police in America. Around the world, we have situations where unmarked individuals, unidentified individuals, and unmarked vehicles go and snatch people off the street or knock down their doors and grab them, detain them without access to an attorney or access to family. All of that's happening here right now in the United States of America.
Okay.
We're at an extraordinary moment.
The secret police, that should be noted in the list of demands. The word paramilitary police, not secret police, is used. No paramilitary police. I think that's number 10 in the list of demands from Democrats as far as wanting reform. Jasmine Crockett recently posted, "Following ICE's deadliest year in 2 decades, we do not need another massive ICE detention facility. ICE has caused enough harm in our communities." And then if you want to learn more, she has her own media page. We saw that already. Oh, I thought this was interesting. This is Senator Chris Coons says, New York Police Department doesn't wear masks, so ICE shouldn't. It should be noted that the New York Police Department cooperates a lot more with Homeland Security than people realize. Just yesterday, there was a really big protest. Many people were arrested, not from federal agents, but from the New York Police Department.
Both caucuses, House and Senate, Democrats have laid out what I think are perfectly reasonable demands that your average American goes, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
But once again, you're using funding to get what policies that interest you, and it just is a bad
These
precedent.
aren't just policies that interest me. Joe, the idea that federal law enforcement
I know, but you're shutting down the government.
Rules.
You're shutting down the government.
I mean, it's the same rules
you're
that NYPD is following right there in Times Square right now.
When Republicans
do you see roving bands of NYPD?
Senator,
with masks and
you're putting up
using
another red herring.
You're
shutting down the government because
it's how you do policing
lost
in a
the
democracy.
election. You lost the election because you lost the election, which put you in the minority party doesn't give you the right to shut down the government to get what you want. Let me ask you this.
But it does mean I have to fight for the core values of our democracy, which includes supporting law enforcement that is accountable, that is transparent, but that doesn't murder American citizens in broad daylight.
Okay. So that is out there as well. Again, a lot of overlapping talking points, but we're still waiting on the historic vote to see what happens as far as funding is concerned. Yeah, let's move on. I think you guys get the point. And again, thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. God bless all of you. And Good Spirits left a $5 donation and didn't even say anything. Just said, here's $5, and I really appreciate that. And moved on with your life. All right, so this is going to be Senator Slotkin. She posted this recently. You guys probably recognize her. Today, I sent a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi and U.S. Attorney Pirro, informing them that I will not be sitting down with them for their inquiry over a 90-second video I filmed in November. So here's what she has to say. And thank you for the generous $5 donation from James. Democrats have cried. Wolf made me the bad guy and been hysterical so often I don't even listen to their viewpoint, says James. Okay, so here's what she has to say.
Senator Alyssa Slotkin from Michigan. Earlier today, I sent a letter to Attorney General Bondi and to the lead Department of Justice lawyer in D.C., Jeanine Pirro, telling them, one, I will not be complying with their inquiries and sitting down for an interview based on a 90-second video I filmed. And number two, urging them to retain their records on this case in case I decide to sue for infringement of my constitutional rights. Just to review the bidding, in November, myself and others filmed a 90-second video restating current law that simply says uniformed military have a responsibility to refuse illegal orders. In response, the president tweeted about us over a dozen times, saying that we should be investigated, arrested, and ultimately hanged for sedition. In response, the threats went through the roof to myself, my family, my staff, and the FBI and the Department of Justice opened up an inquiry on me in response to the president's tweets.
It should be noted as far as context is concerned, and I don't know, we will never know who exactly or why the timing of the video happened when this was happening. At the time this video dropped, that's when we started to see National Guard get a little more prevalent with security within the country, or working in conjunction with federal assets. So the implication was when this video was dropped, they were possibly making the video for those National Guard members, or possibly making that video for the strikes that were occurring with the narco people leaving with the boats. You know, that's still happening, but at the time it was a little more prevalent. Again, we will never know what the full intentions are, but what they're saying is the intentions were we were just making a video and reiterating what you can and can't do and what you should do as a somebody in the military.
But at this point, I'm not going to be sitting down for this inquiry. I'm not going to legitimize their actions. The video we made was public. I've done a ton of public talking about it since then, including now. And our Constitution is crystal clear on the issue of freedom of speech, something worth fighting for. To be honest, many lawyers told me to just be quiet, keep my head down, and hopefully this will all just go away. But that's exactly what the Trump administration and Jeanine Pirro want. They are purposely using physical and legal intimidation to get me to shut up. But more importantly, they're using that intimidation to deter others from speaking out against their administration. The intimidation is the point, and I'm not going to go along with that. That's why I've asked Pirro and Bondi to retain all records on this case in line with the law. Because the Supreme Court may have given the president near immunity on most matters, but they've given no such immunity to those doing his bidding. I don't want to be in this position. As a former CIA officer, I worked alongside the FBI and the Department of Justice in Washington, in Baghdad, my entire career. And I know the career professionals at those places don't want to politicize our legal system. But this is about more than just my case. It's about the ability to speak your mind and have freedom from fear. Because if they can do this to a sitting senator, imagine what they can do to a community leader, a business leader, or a mom who goes viral on the internet.
All right, so leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think about this. Now, when this video came out, I think a lot of people were just a little confused as to like why all of a sudden that video came out. What was the point? And I also made the point that if you, how do I say this? If you're in the military and you defy an order, even if you're defying an illegal order, no matter what, you still have to go through a court-martial process. And so, when you tell a service member to defy illegal orders, not every order is as black and white as we might make it out to be. And in certain cases, it might be pretty obvious something is an illegal order. You still have to go to a court-martial, generally speaking, to figure out whether or not that was an illegal order. But if you think you're defying an illegal order and it's not, you just defied a lawful order, and you only can find that out in the Uniform Code of Military Justice process. So keep that in mind. No matter what, there will still be a court-martial, and the pushback I had against this video was like, I understand what you're saying, but no matter what, you have to go through the court-martial. For your information, and okay, so this was also going rather viral. Democratic Congresswoman Presley was called out on her huge earnings while in office. You guys probably are noticing this is becoming a little trendy as far as looking into the finances of politicians in the United States and seeing an increase allegedly as far as net worth, I guess, is the best way to describe that.
How did you make all this income from the rental property?
Sir, I submit a financial disclosure just like everybody else. There's nothing to see here. Thank you.
Is it appropriate for members to make so much money when they're in office? Should there be rules there? Financial disclosure reports show that the wealth of Presley and her husband Conan Harris swelled from $12,000 in 2019 to as much as $8 million. 5 rental properties earn them up to $350,000 annually. Presley once advocated to suspend rent during the pandemic. She pushed policies for struggling homeowners.
These little to no cost bills.
I mean, we're just going to be honest here. From 12,000 to, what is it, 5 or 8 million? That's a lot. I think everybody can agree that seems to be a lot. I don't know if that's like the biggest percentage-wise increase, but yeah.
Help people remain housed.
Presley's husband is an ex-con who went from serving a decade in jail before they were married for drug trafficking to raking in up to $1 million a year as a business and management consultant.
There are many times where we can see that the spouse is the person who may be bringing in the most income.
Some lawmakers resist restrictions on outside earnings. Do you think that there should be changes, some different rules about what members can make while they're in office?
These are presumably right-wing reports designed to try to undermine our members, and there's nothing credible that has been suggested that I've seen.
And so in this report, he's specifically just talking about making money outside of just being a politician. And that would also probably include the stock market. But specifically honing in on the stock market thing, it looks like there is some momentum as far as making it illegal to trade stocks if you are a member of Congress and Senate. But this is not that. This seems to be just generally speaking, should it be illegal to make money outside of your position as a politician, which I think is actually harder to pass than it would be specifically the stock market.
Other members worry about their colleagues cashing in on congressional service.
The idea that people's net worth balloons at that level is yet another erosion of public trust.
There was one of the first aphorisms I learned is politics is the art of turning influence into affluence.
Now, the money also followed Presley's fellow squad member Ilhan Omar to Congress. A House committee is probing how assets belonging to Omar's husband grew into the millions. Right?
Yeah, so she's like actually being investigated right now, Congresswoman Omar, but I'm not sure if this Congresswoman is specifically being investigated as well. This was just an independent report as far as the 12,000 up to the whatever that was, a lot of money. Now, I want to play this clip real fast. This was interesting. I don't know if you guys are aware, Spencer Pratt is running for mayor in Los Angeles, and he recently had a speech that's going pretty viral right now. Let me know what you guys think about Spencer Pratt. Let me know if you guys heard about this, but here's what he had to say very recently.
Los Angeles will be camera ready, not just for the Olympics.
It should be noted Spencer Pratt lost his house in the Palisades fire, and he put a lot of the blame on Gavin Newsom and the mayor.
Los Angeles will be camera ready, not just for the Olympics, but for the people who live here. And when it comes to ICE, the problem isn't enforcement, it's defiance. Karen Bass's open defiance of federal law for political gain has created confusion, tension, and instability. When I'm mayor, I will work directly with the federal government to enforce the law in a firm but humane way with a clear focus on public safety. Violent criminals will be removed from our streets, and law-abiding, hard-working families will live without fear. This approach is not extreme. It is responsible. In so many ways, I'm going to do what Karen Bass can't do, because she answers to the political machine and I answer to the moral compass inside of me that tells me what's right. Thank you for all coming tonight and supporting my campaign.
Okay. So, advocating for cooperation with the federal government. That is the candidate, Spencer Pratt, running for mayor. I think everyone is paying attention to this race to see what happens, for sure. But that is happening, and he's serious, guys. I wouldn't take it as a joke. He's super serious. He has a lot of endorsements, and we will be paying attention to that. Speaking of mayors, this is Mayor Wilson was approached in public, and some people had questions for him. This is the mayor of Portland, all right? Now, if you guys are unaware, Portland is starting to revamp a little bit as far as pushback, political pushback, and it looks like I will be having to do a lot more research and looking into Oregon and Portland and figuring out what's going on here. But we are seeing an increase of protesting for sure. Not only in Portland, but in Eugene, Oregon as well, which is just south of Portland. Now, hopefully we can hear this okay.
I have questions for you. So, Portland Ice Facility, I'm sure you know about it. Some really serious things are happening there. So I did talk to Mayor Wilson about it. Mayor Wilson about the Portland Ice Facility.
So she's trying to inquire about the Portland Ice Facility, and a lot of the comments on the video is that it looks like the mayor, I think, is just trying to get out of there.
Over the 12-hour limit multiple times. They're also abusing people in Portland. They've kidnapped people off the street. I'm curious what your office is going to be doing to fix this. What is your office going to be doing?
Hey, McKean.
I'm asking you what your office is going to be doing. Yeah, but it's hard to celebrate when people are getting kidnapped off our streets. When ICE is kidnapping people off our streets. At the Portland Ice Facility?
You gotta go. No. This is not.
So he gets followed.
This is inside this stuff.
Do you not want to speak to us about what's happening at the Portland Ice Facility? I was slammed on the concrete and dragged across the concrete. I don't know if you know about that. Yeah, it was really horrible. And we had people in our group who've gone to the hospital. That's why we have to come and speak to you like this, because what's happening is a serious emergency.
And we're addressing a lot of that, but we're in this together.
How so? How are you addressing it?
I'm educating the community member with programs.
But we have enough education. You're the
right, but we're asking for the facility to be shut down. We want the facility to be shut down. We know that you have the ability to make executive orders. And you also are able to speak directly to permitting and development. So I would like to know, are you doing this? Are you working on that?
Have you said a word to permitting and development?
Okay. Now, it should be noted that I think it was like 3 months ago, there was a lot of pushback against the city council as far as, hey, as protesters, you know, we've been on the ground for a while now, and we want the facility gone. We don't want to work with the facility. We don't want it in the premise. We want it gone. And you guys are probably hearing that same sort of like narrative, like what's going on here, guys. This was posted by the Black Conservative Preacher. If you guys want to go give him a follow. This is from just a few days ago.
First time in your life. Enjoy it.
All right. So again, we are seeing an increase of interaction and some action over in Portland, and I will be paying attention to that. In fact, in my video I made yesterday, we highlighted that the police arrested 4 protesters just last week for different things. Somebody was arrested for allegedly prying plywood off of the federal building, and another one was arrested for throwing glass. So, yeah. So that is all of the most relevant news I have for you guys right now. I appreciate all of you for being here. It really means a lot. And we always advocate for peace on my channel. We always try to be as fair as possible, give fair critiques. And I appreciate all of you guys for being on board with that and trying to figure out what's going on here. We're just trying to figure out the truth. And yeah, I really thank you guys so much. I hope I was able to do that for you guys. And yeah, make sure to please pray for peace. And we really need that right now. And I think collectively it's a good thing if we do that. And even if you disagree with everything we just said, I'm glad you were here to at least listen and interact with the chat. So thank you guys so much for everything. God bless all of you. And again, I really appreciate all of you guys. Thank you. And please seek Christ. Thank you guys for everything. God bless. And we will see you all later. Thank you guys.